535 students spent over 1,000 hours doing service for the community. Find out how they helped.
And the date is set. Jimmy John's will be opening soon. We'll tell you why Wartburg's Vice President for Administration is now opening a business.
And WTV takes a look behind Newman Auditorium's curtains at Wartburg's own Newman Crew. Your WTV News starts now.
You're watching WTV News, live on Wartburg Television. From the Grant Price Studio. Breaking news, local coverage, and sports. This is WTV News.
Take a look at this. This is a sky cam from on top of Old Main during the ice storm this weekend. Wartburg students experienced slick conditions on campus yesterday. After freezing temperatures Saturday night, the campus was left covered in ice. The library was also closed on Sunday. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Jacqueline Schutte.
And I'm Danny Householder. Although it was icy this weekend, there hasn't been much snow. With little snow so far this winter, city officials say they have saved money when it comes to running plows. Waverly Public Works Superintendent Brian Sullivan says although the city may be saving money when it comes to plows, workers are getting paid less in overtime. He says the only time they have encountered large amounts this year was during a blizzard in December.
Right now, currently, we've expended about $9,000, and without looking back, we probably have done by this time, depending on the year, maybe close to $20,000.
Last week, former Wartburg student Alcie Smith was convicted of assault with intent to commit sexual abuse. The charges are from an incident with a female student on November 2011. He received 2 years suspended probation and a $625 fine.
I wouldn't say it's, standard or anything like that. Most cases, you do some tailoring to the case and the facts and what you believe you can prove and things of that nature.
After 17 years at Wartburg, Vice President for Administration Gary Grace is retiring from the college. He'll be opening up a Jimmy John's next to Family Video later this spring. If you're looking for a job, you're in luck because there's about 20 openings at the new business. Grace says he is excited to work with the students.
I want to learn exactly how the place runs from the inside out, and so at least at the front end I'm going to be involved. I'll be in there slapping mayonnaise on sandwiches, and at least initially I'll be right in there with my Jimmy John's cap on and saying hello to everybody.
There's a lot that goes into deciding who makes the Dean's List and who doesn't, and it's not just your GPA. A GPA of 3.5 is required to make the list, but that's not all. Even though a student is considered full-time by taking 3 courses, they must take 4 course credits in order to be considered for the Dean's List. So even if a student has a 4.0, if they aren't taking less than 4 credits, they will not be on the list.
But we want to make sure that we're honoring those students who are taking what is required in order to graduate in 4 years. So in order to graduate in 4 years, typically you would need to be enrolled in 4 courses in the fall term and 5 courses in the winter-May term.
The Wartburg West summer session deadline has been extended. Internship coordinator Joe Dorrance says they extended the deadline to February 28th, almost a month from now. This is to fill the extra spots that are still open. Last week there were 15 students enrolled to attend this summer. The full capacity is 20.
Wartburg is now in the second stages of Net Impact. The program strives for better campus sustainability. Small Steps, Big Wins encourages college campuses to be more environmentally friendly by challenging them with a contest. For each green act students make, they earn points for their school, resulting in various prizes. Co-founder of Net Impact, Maddie Stumbo, says earning points can come through simple daily tasks.
When students do their laundry, they can hang dry their laundry instead of putting it in the dryer, or using a refillable water bottle, or just unplugging their cell phone charger out of the wall.
Coming up next on WTV News, see how one Waverly group is making a difference using others' trash.
And have you thought about online dating? WTV News wants to hear your opinion. Stay tuned to find out how you can share it later in the show.
Last week, the nation observed the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., famous for his activism in civil rights.
WTV's Caitlin Harback has more on how Wartburg celebrated MLK's story.
that my poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
50 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. presented his famous speech to over 200,000 people during the March on Washington. This past week, Wartburg College celebrated the life of Dr. King and the legacy he left behind. Various activities took place, including the annual Blankets of Love service project, slam poetry by dynamic duo, and a concert presented by music group The Outlet. Diversity Program Director Crystal Madlock says students should continue to spread his positive message.
With what we have going on here at Wartburg with our leadership and service, it's fitting for us to connect with him and asking ourselves, what can we do to continue to keep that dream alive?
King's leadership in the civil rights movement during the 1960s changed the course of American history, abolishing segregation laws and giving blacks the right to vote. While many things have changed over the years, including Barack Obama's historical win as the first black president of the United States, Dr. Jennifer McBride says racism continues to be a problem.
Meaning it's embedded in the ways in which we order ourselves. We need to be aware that racism is always at play.
Madluck explains while students may not think racism is prominent here at Wartburg, it's the small things that count.
There has been some issues where some things are written on whiteboards, derogatory things like that we've had to deal with. But that's why we try to educate our students on campus about equal rights for all and how that makes a person feel when things like that happen.
When it comes to standing up to racism, McBride says communication is key.
We need to have more honest and courageous conversation with each other, as students, as faculty, as staff.
Reporting for WTV News, I'm Caitlin Harback.
So it was a successful MLK week for Wartburg. They had over 500 students volunteering on MLK Day last Monday.
January is National Mentoring Month. Many Wartburg students are mentors for kids in the community. Michael Gleason is the Association for Vocation and Mentoring at Wartburg. He says mentors are important because they can help kids find their talents and gifts. Wartburg student Matthew Brady mentors for Big Brothers Big Sisters. He says the boy he mentors appreciates their relationship, but Brady argues rewards he receives are just mentoring just as much.
For me, I mean, it's obviously rewarding for the younger kid, but for me, I have just as much fun with my little brother. So we've been to hockey games, been to football games, we play Super Nintendo.
Over 300 students filled Wartburg's campus with music this weekend. High school students joined Wartburg musicians in the Meister Singer Honor Choir finale concert. The concert featured seasoned performer Simon Estes and world-renowned composer Stacy V. Gibbs. Gibbs composed many of the pieces performed Saturday night for both Wartburg groups and the Honor Choir. Coming up on WTV News.
We're becoming more known, but I don't think people really know who we are.
When we return, get a closer look at what goes on backstage in Newman Auditorium.
And one former Wartburg president is causing controversy at his new college. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. One Waverly group is working to turn trash into treasures through a project known as TerraCycle.
Although the project is only a couple years old, it's having a positive impact on the community.
This week, WTV's Kelsey Bemis found out just what TerraCycle is and how people can get involved.
TerraCycle is a nationwide project started by a former Princeton student. The main mission of the project? To eliminate waste, one piece of trash at a time. Self-proclaimed Green Queen Joanna E. West brought TerraCycle to Waverly 2 years ago. She says it started after she and her family visited a store full of recycled materials.
I went on the website and saw that they were giving away money, and I thought, okay, we could use money for the schools. And they'd given away around $3.5 million at that point. And I thought, well, we could use the money for our schools.
For every item collected, the school is awarded 2 cents. In the 2 years TerraCycle has been in Waverly, it has raised impressive amounts.
At this point, we've raised about $2,000, and so that's a lot of chip bags and candy wrappers and items that we've collected.
There are 8 different items that can be dropped off at bins located around town. In addition to the main drop-off site at the Waverly Recycling Center, collection units are also located in schools and at the Waverly Palace Theater. EWS says people generally show an interest in TerraCycle due to an overall interest in the environment.
I would say they have a combined interest in helping out with the schools and also being green. Our family, we're down to about 6 pounds of garbage a week for a family of 5, so it's amazing.
EWS says it takes little work to achieve big results.
If every person in Waverly ate 5 bags of chips a month for a whole year and brought them in, it would be around $15,000 just with the chip brigade that we would make for our schools.
She also has one tip for how to get started.
I would say start with one thing. You know, it's like any habit. It's just, get the list in front of you. We have lists available if you stop out here. Start with chip bags, and then the next week do your cheese, and the next week do, and so it's just starting.
Reporting for WTV News, I'm Kelsey Bemis.
In addition to asking people to TerraCycle, EWS said the group needs volunteers to help with the project. There are 3 different committees to sign up for. To find out more information on how to help, email gohawksgogreen@gmail.com.
And taking another look into the Waverly Renters Ordinance, the mayor is hoping to come up with a compromise in order to have more than 2 unrelated people reside together, but keep disturbances to a minimum. They're also looking into health and safety issues so renters feel safe. The mayor is asking for the town's opinion to not create overregulation, but an ordinance that is fair to both parties.
In Waverly, what we try to do is try to mirror, or match the residents of our college and also the residents of Waverly, making sure that we have a good working relationship. And so what we're trying to do is find an ordinance that works best for both parties.
Gaming systems like the Xbox Kinect use body recognition to play. However, individuals with physical disabilities cannot play these games. Wartburg student Andrew Tubbs spoke out against this issue at speech team tournaments this year. Tubbs is diagnosed with TAR syndrome, a rare genetic disorder characterized by the absence of the radius bone in the forearm. To support this cause, sign the petition at capper.com.
There are a lot of people that don't really know the adaptations needed for people with different abilities. And that kind of ate at me for a while, and I knew, with the speech team, that would be a perfect platform to address that situation.
Former Wartburg President Jack Oley has received criticism from many members of the Gustavus College community where he now works. The current Gustavus president received letters last December from former students and faculty asking for his resignation. The letters expressed distaste in the president's policies and method of leading the college. A month later, the letters still have not received a response.
Coming up in sports, Wartburg's men's basketball team suffered its first loss of the season Monday at Loris. Could they respond with a big win against arch rival Luther? Find out next. Welcome back to WTV News. I'm Nathan Ford. The #1 ranked wrestling team was looking to clinch a spot in the Iowa Conference Championship after the IAC duels Saturday in Dubuque. WTV's Shelby Granath has more.
Up first for Wartburg was Central. The only 2 Knights to lose were #3 Gilberto Camacho and Phil Hawes. #1 Kenny Anderson and #1 Landon Williams each recorded pins for the Orange and Black. In the end, Wartburg defeated Central 34-6. Next up for the Knights was the Beavers from Buena Vista. In a duel that only lasted 35 minutes, Wartburg dominated BV by a final of 53-0. Anderson, Brandon Welter, Puna Soriano, and #6 Ryan Fank all won by fall. And finally, it was #1 Wartburg up against #26 University of Dubuque. Camacho and Hawes won by major decisions. Anderson and Williams won by technical falls. And #2 Cody Silvestri, Gerard Roman, and Fank all won by falls. #3 Cole Welter added a decision win as well. In the end, Wartburg defeated UD 39-6.
The Knights are now 17-0 overall and finished the conference's regular season 7-0. They will host Cove Friday, February 8th with the conference title on the line, but first up will be the Battle of the Bergs against Augsburg in Minnesota on Thursday. The men's basketball team dropped its first game in conference play to Loris last Monday night, but had an opportunity to move into first place in the conference with a win over arch rival Luther Wednesday. Let's get to the highlights. Levick Lunatics were all fired up for a big battle for first. Luther was hot early as Cale Austin knocks down one of his 3 triples on the night for an early lead. Wartburg responds in a big way as Eddie Deemer throws down a 2-handed slam, and the Knights are right in it. But Deemer goes down late in the first half with an injury, being forced to leave the game with 10 points. Knights trailed by 3 at the break. Deemer would not return, but Wartburg kept it close early in the second. Brett Ahlgren drives and scores plus the foul, but the Norse hit the big shots when it counted. Aaron Huber knocks down the 3, and Luther would pull away for a 14-point victory. Tyler Wiedemeyer scored 18 points, and Zach Matos had 15 for the Norse inside with the absence of Deemer. The Knights had a chance to avenge Monday's loss and snap a 2-game skid on Saturday when Loris came to town. The Knights jump out to an 8-0 lead as Clay Cook makes a great pass out of the post to Thomas Perkins, who knocks down the tray. Later, Tanner Kramer has it up top with the shot clock winding down, drains the 3 plus the foul for a 4-point play. Knights up 17-3. Loris would not quit though. Aaron Schuler hits a long ball from the wing, and the game is tied at 47. Then Ryan Kuhn would score inside, and the Duhawks lead for the first time, 49-47. Wartburg comes back as Mitchell Murphy drives and scores off glass. The senior point guard stepped up big Saturday with Eddie Deemer still out with his injury. The Duhawks would cut it to 2 again at one point, but Wartburg pulls away for a 58-55 victory, avenging Monday's loss. Dan Van Groningen had a career-high 12 points for the Knights, while Murphy continued his recent hot streak with 11. Wartburg is now 11-7 overall and 6-2 in the Iowa Conference, good for second place. The women's basketball team only managed 12 first-half points and 38 total Monday against Loris. We're looking to get back on the right track offensively Wednesday against Luther. Early in the first, Carly Jacobs spins and throws up a floater off glass with the shot clock winding down to score. Logan Jurlid answers with a 3 for the Norse, and the game was tied early. But Jurlid is denied by Abby Weideman in transition. The Knights' defense phenomenal in this one. Wartburg led by 2 at halftime, but thanks to Bobby Burrows, they began to pull away in the second half. Here she steps in the passing lane, takes it all the way. Later, the freshman shows no fear, spotting up from deep. She scored 11 of her 13 points in the second half. Then Weideman would seal the deal with the old-fashioned 3-point play. The Knights take down their rivals 61-54. Along with Burrows, Carly Jacobs also had 13 points, and Bailey O'Brien added 12 plus 5 boards. Like the men, the women had a chance to avenge Monday's loss against Loris on Saturday at home. Wartburg had their offense clicking early as Bailey O'Brien would find Abby Weideman. The Knights lead 8-2. But then Loris starts to heat up as Kelly Rogowski hits a 3 from the wing to put the Duhawks up 17-12. Loris continues to shoot the ball well as they work the inside-out play to get Katie Wheeler open from distance. Duhawks up 31-14 at halftime. Loris kept it up in the second half as Brittany Kent hits the short jumper. Weideman had 13 points, including this and 1 for Wartburg, but it wouldn't be enough. Knights fall 67-52. Weideman led the Knights with 13 points, and Wartburg is now in 3rd place in the league with a 5-3 record. The basketball teams return to action Wednesday night at Dubuque. Tune into Sports Night tomorrow night at 8 for even more sports.
So Nate, Wartburg is really kind of focused on basketball season right now, and the football season is long over, but the NFL's big game is coming up this weekend, the Super Bowl. Who's your pick?
I'm taking the Niners, and I'm hoping the Niners win too.
All right, we'll see if John Harbaugh's call works out there.
And coming up after the break, we'll take you behind the scenes to see just what Newman Crew really does. Across Wartburg, students are working hard at their campus jobs, but some students have a job that is rarely spotlighted.
This week, WTV took a look backstage at Newman Auditorium's crew to see just how much work goes into putting on a show.
Say that we're pretty good at getting recognition we deserve. Like now, every time we do an event, people are good at thanking us for what we do.
And the crew does a lot.
They work all the events that happen in Newman Auditorium and McCaskey Lyceum, and then various odds and ends around campus. So take care of all the lighting, the sound, the staging, and basically anything else that's needed to get the show up on its feet.
They kind of ask more of Newman Crew the more we go along, just because we're just so awesome that they're like, you guys do such a good job, we want you to do more things.
Pregler says all the effort is worth the result.
It's the best place on campus to work. It definitely is. It's a fantastic opportunity. And I think, I really appreciate all the support that we get from everybody, and I'm glad that we get people to our events. And we can always use more.
Reporting for WTV News, I'm Jeannie Edson.
Hans Pregler estimates that Newman Crew covers up to 150 events per year.
So Valentine's Day is getting closer, and some people are starting to think about getting a special someone.
And some might even be thinking about online dating. This week, WTV will be taking a look into the world of online dating and specifically what Wartburg thinks.
We want you to share your opinion with us about online dating, and if you'd like to do that, please go to www.wartburgcircuit.org. We'll have everything right there for you.
Now there's an online poll of the homepage of the circuit. There we'll ask you about if you've tried online dating or if maybe you've even known someone who tried it.
All right, so make sure that you check that out. We'll be looking forward to it.
So MLK week was last Monday. What did you do anything, Danny?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be a part of Blankets of Love. What we did is we put together these fleece blankets. It was really simple to make. You just cut off the edges, tie knots. We put like a heart in there, and I don't know, it was really interesting. And we sent it to people who are in need. A lot of times these blankets go to the kids at Bremwood, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just really fun to feel like we could make a difference for the kids there, and it was a really fun experience. So I recommend anyone to be a part of that, or any sort of volunteer project throughout MLK week and throughout the week, and with tour week coming up and all the missions that go out for that week.
Right.
I think that'll be really interesting to see how many Wartburg students decide to go out and serve.
And then Super Bowl's coming up next weekend. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not paid to make these predictions like Nathan, but I don't know. I mean, I want to say that I'm cheering for the Ravens just because, Ray Lewis is retiring. That's exciting. But I got to say, I think the Niners are going to win. And
yeah, the commercials will be fun to watch, too.
I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, well, that's all the time we have tonight. Be sure to watch Sports Night tomorrow night at 8.
And then Good Morning Waverly will be on Friday morning.
Have a good night.